Bob Boar and Sarah Sow had 3 little pigs, Pick, Pack, and Po. Just 3. That was the problem. Like most of the world's 1 billion pigs, Bob and Sarah spent most of their days incarcerated, in their case inside Farmer Brown's large pig barn, home to standing room only and air pungent with hydrogen sulfide and methane. Farmer Brown wore a mask at all times when tending his animal husbandry operation, and he played country music Bob had grown to like. Sarah and Bob were treated better than most. Bob was more than 1,000 pounds, and thanks to Farmer Brown's clever promotion, he was the neighborhood sire celebrity. Yes, Bob got out from time to time, and he enjoyed playing the role of the local play pig. Sarah got out too. The Browns used her sensitive nose to track down truffles, and she enjoyed the outdoors and the fleeting opportunity to sunbathe. Perhaps because of seniority, Bob and Sarah were also allowed outside for a week when the piglets were born. There was nothing they liked better than a chance to stretch their hooves. But there were troubled times ahead. Both Sarah and Bob knew in a way only a pig can know. The commodity markets were down, and instead of the usual litter of 12 to 15 piglets, there were only 3. Would time make men more wise? Was a question Bob Boar asked himself, but couldn't answer. Because Bob Boar and Sarah Sow knew their days were numbered, boom, 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 they arranged for a late escape for their 3 piglets, Pick, Pack, and Po. They were clearly too young to live on their own, but time was of the essence. Off they went with their parents' well wishes, a stash of life savings, a 3-day supply of their mother's milk, and a cell phone each with a shared data plan. The Yardbirds took to wing as they left on their journey. History suggested straw, but pig lore revealed the flaw, so Pick, Pack, and Po opted for a substantial clover hay bale fortress on the small triangular lot with a small pond of muddy water they managed to purchase for 20% below market value. Almost complete was their domestic Shangri-La when along came a building inspector who was not impressed. "I'm not impressed," he said, and ran off at the mouth with regulatory expletives that blew their house plans out of the water, which wasn't water at all, of course, only a metaphoric mirage. "What's that?" asked Pick. "My inhaler. I get asthma bad, and I've been huffing and puffing for years." To everything there is a season, and after Poe's Google search, the 3 pigs knew winter was coming sometime. They migrated to a second corner of their triangular lot. Po was the oldest piglet by 17 seconds and felt obligated to take a leadership role. His idea was to build a second domicile out of recycled wood products because, well, it just felt like the right thing to do. They gathered sticks willy-nilly and scavenged old boards and shovel handles from the Browns' farm after the sun had fallen. The result wasn't pretty, and it leaned a little, but there was a large gap left to southern exposure if they could snag a pig's bladder from somewhere. Unbeknownst to the 3 little pigs, the building inspector was waiting in the woods and didn't offer any suggestions until the last broken axe handle was in place. "This heap is a structural liability," he said. "No one would insure such a spectacle." The 3 little pigs, being pigs as they were, didn't believe insurance existed, but once again they were sent packing. Poe agreed with himself that the word heap was an evil word. Pack tried phoning his father for advice, but the message he got was, "This number is no longer in service." The 3 of them snuggled in the bracken fern and didn't talk about any of the lonely thoughts they were thinking, but all of them thought, "Come tomorrow, will I be older than today?" They were down to 1 day's supply of milk, but luckily Pick woke up with an inspiration. First he asked his brothers, Is all that we see or seem but a dream within a dream? And then he explained his idea that on the third corner of their triangular lot they would try again, only this time they would reuse both the straw bales from the first house and the sticks from the second house, and a third commodity that, because they had been brought up not to use bad words, and they didn't know the word feces, they referred to as remains of living pigs. There was no shortage of remains of living pigs, and they scavenged it in bucketfuls from outside the Brown pig farm. The building inspector watched in awe as they began their project of formulating bricks made from straw and the remains of living pigs. Once he saw what they were up to, he began to laugh. He fell asleep laughing, dreamt of laughing, and woke up laughing. Then he wandered over to watch the enterprise in action. It was a warm fall day, and the work was tedious. "You three are sweating like pigs," he said, but Po informed him that pigs don't sweat. They carried on and sang as they worked. Over, under, sideways, down, backwards, forwards, square and round. The building inspector was a bit of a lone wolf. He chatted away as they worked, and he told them how life for a wolf without a pack was a severe and alienating experience. He said he was sick at heart and lonely, deep in dark despair. The only reason he'd taken the job as a building inspector was because he wanted a sense of belonging, but the job category didn't reek of acceptance. It wasn't long before the building inspector began to help out. On his hind legs he was able to put in place the ready-made bricks that were beyond the pigs' reach. The Brown farm had almost come to a standstill for 3 days because the Browns were hit with a bout of swine flu. Once he recovered, Farmer Brown went in search of the 3 little pigs that had mysteriously made their escape from his fenced yard. Lone Wolf had experience with Farmer Brown over a silo that was built so high, and he knew from his strident pace across the meadow what he was after. "Quick," said Lone Wolf, "hide in the crawl space. Farmer Brown is coming." Well, just in time, Pick, Pack, and Po hid themselves in the partially completed structure before Farmer Brown entered the building nose first. "Seen my pigs?" he asked, sniffing the air. "Saw them yesterday," Lone Wolf said. "On skateboards, heading south on the main road. Fastest skateboarding pigs I've ever seen." "What are you building here? A brick house?" "It's my retirement haven. Lighten up. This is a family show." "It will never pass inspection," Farmer Brown said. "I might have something to say about that," said Lone Wolf. Farmer Brown lifted his hat and scratched his head before he left. "It's safe, you can come out now," Lone Wolf exclaimed. "Look," Po said, "my brothers and I have conferred over the present state of affairs, and while we are well aware of the bristly history between pigs and wolves and folklore and whatnot, we believe in evolution, and because of your kind intervention with Farmer Brown, we would like to suggest that you stay with us. It's true, we eat like pigs, but we don't have a choice. What do you say?" "Well, I'm not searching for a reason to enjoy myself. If I said things were splendid, you might be offended," Lone Wolf said. "I'm all dressed up, with no place to go. Would I get to use your cell phones?" "Evenings and weekends," Pick said. And so it was that the fortunes of the 3 little pigs was born first of desperation, then loneliness, only to end in harmony. Lone Wolf once more felt included in the world, and the 4 animals lived together harmoniously till the farthest reaches of their genetic future.